live with the live stream.
If you go, like, when you're going to Austin, is Ray going with you?
No. So Ray came to JSConf Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So he's not coming to Austin because he doesn't have enough leave.
Oh, okay. So you met up with Charlie, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
It was super fun.
Yeah.
And I actually had 2 friends from Perth there as well, coincidentally. So I had a blast.
Oh, that's great. Like,
Yeah.
when was the last time? Okay. I remember CSS Conf EU in 2018. Like, the Perth people moved around in a pack. So it's like,
what we do.
yeah, Perth people in a pack. So it's like a pack of Perth people.
We also like bring people in with us
So for streaming,
and have a
we
tendency
have
to encourage
stream
people to go out and do stuff.
Wait, were you there when
Whenever you start a stream.
we were at the
yeah, so it's like
Dropbox
So whenever we want to
office?
stream, you change that setting.
Yeah.
You were you?
Every time.
I wasn't at CSS Conf EU. I've never been able to go.
No. In San Francisco. Oh no, that was Padma.
Yeah, no.
Oh man.
I have been to Dropbox's office because we have a friend who used to work there because he used to work with me at my front.
Check the YouTube.
Used to? So he's not there
Yeah,
anymore?
he's at Facebook now.
What?
Yeah. Dropbox is a great office. Anyone ever gets a chance to go.
The San Francisco one or the?
The San Francisco.
Oh yeah. I can't remember why. I think Padma was in SF for some design conference thing,
Yes, correct.
and basically the Perth people just like congregated, and I just tagged along. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
we
you have
find
flux
each
turned
other.
on, right?
Okay. Turn off flux. Do you have flux turned on, by the way?
Flux. No, I don't know. How do I know?
Oh no. If you have to ask, means you don't. Just yeah.
Night shift. Or
Uh,
something. Yeah. Okay.
does it look better now? Okay. Let's start at 7:15 because I feel like it.
We got loads of people in here.
Wait, what? Wait, how? I can only see 1, 2, 3, 4. I can only see 5 people.
In your Zoom.
You can. turn on
Okay. I can adjust the window. So anyway, Alex, if you're listening, this is the effect that I want, but I cannot get. So basically, to put some context for everyone else who is listening to my live problems on the stream, I'm supposed to be building like this video streaming thing, and this Zoom-like interface is something that I want to achieve, but it is beyond my grasp at this moment.
So if you. It's possible.
Do you want to?
We can talk about it now because, you know, open source and all. Yeah.
Right, but do you want to achieve your Zoom layout or my Zoom layout?
What do you mean?
Like, both of us have different layouts right now.
What are the options that OpenTalk gives us? Do you know?
So I think you can only manipulate the stream for the subscribers.
Right.
For the publishers to see something different, you'll need to fudge it with UI.
Might have to
But the
change
stream,
something.
the thing that you publish into the world,
Uh-huh.
can only have one version, and the version is going to be the one thing which you decide to post to people watching.
No, okay, hang on. So I control the broadcast. Do I,
Yes.
what can I not wait? What can't I control?
Okay.
You can't have multiple layouts for the same video.
I can't
That
have.
means you can only control the layout. There's only one layout. Whereas in Zoom, we have different layouts.
Could I
right now. Like
adjust
you
something
as the
here?
presenter have a completely different layout from one
Have you
layout.
used VBC? Have you used VBC?
Let's see.
So to question if anybody from Bonnet is
No, cause
yes,
cause I'm Hey,
Sorry.
broken.
I know. Hello? Oh.
No, my screen is not. What?
Oh, okay.
Change?
Yeah,
Oh.
please. You change this. Sorry.
Screen sharing has stopped because your external display has been disconnected. Thanks.
Sorry.
Thanks, everybody.
Sorry, my bad.
Oh no, okay. So no, I'm saying VBC because how VBC does it is that there's like everyone's a circle at the bottom of the screen, right? That's all. I don't. The only reason I need to change the layout is for screen sharing, which I still cannot get to work. So I just need screen sharing and people's face at the bottom. So how VBC does it is that if there are too many faces, you can just hide the whole thing. That's all. I don't need to like live change things around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So for example, yes, we can do that. But for example, my version of Zoom has everybody's faces at the top, and it changes on between who's speaking. So right now you're front and center. Mandy was speaking. Mandy was front and center.
Okay. So you are front and center to me, and you are.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can't do that on
something. I'm
open
trying
top
to get the feed.
on the broadcasting. For people
The
in
audio
this call,
from
like the
the feed.
presenter
Right.
and the host, we can fudge that with UI because we have all the individual streams. But the same because to broadcast and you're using broadcast for everybody else, it actually merges all our streams into just one.
Yeah.
That's what open software is really good. Because otherwise, what Zoom does is it actually sends individual pieces of video to all of us, and it's not available.
Okay.
So you can't do that on
We don't need that though.
on the broadcast.
Because the use case that I told you is like presenters, right, max out maybe 5, and yeah. Anyway, we will continue this discussion, this work discussion, next week. Okay, hang on, let me do some logistical. Okay, gentlemen, your own self. Okay.
You can't do that
We don't need that though.
on the broadcast.
Because the use case that I told you is like presenters, right, max out maybe 5, and anyway, we will continue this discussion, this work discussion, next week. Okay, hang on, let me do some logistical. Okay, gentlemen, your own self. Okay.
You can't do that
We don't need that though.
on the broadcast.
Because the use case that I told you is like presenters, right, max out maybe 5, and anyway, we will continue this discussion, this work discussion, next week. Okay, hang on, let me do some logistical. Okay, gentlemen, your own self. Okay.
You can't do that
We don't need that though.
on the broadcast.
Because the use case that I told you is like presenters, right, max out maybe 5, and one meetup that spoiled his impeccable record because like for 2 consecutive months when you try to record us, it failed. So it's like our fault because we are cursed. But anyway, so this is everybody. I'm gonna start talking once I figure out how to check the YouTube. Oh my god, what happened? Okay. How to... Oh wait, I should YouTube on Chrome. Open. Okay. Why like that? Oh my god. Why is life so hard? YouTube. Out how to check the YouTube. .SG. Your Engineers.SG your layout if the URL very long it overflow FYI FYI.
Yeah.
Oh look, there are 15 people watching the stream. Oh, YouTube got delay. Am I?
Yeah.
Okay. Then too bad for you YouTube people lah. You can turn on the chat. Can turn on the chat or not?
Just now, is it?
Can turn on the chat or not?
Which
It's
one?
highly control game.
Huh?
You control one, right?
Yeah. Which chat?
The YouTube YouTube 嘅 chat.
YouTube chat is open.
It's open meh? 做咩我睇唔到嘅？
Are you playing a YouTube video? Because there's a loop back.
Okay,
You gotta stop.
but I cannot see the live chat 咯。哦，你帮我 monitor 那个 live chat 咯。
Yeah.
Okay, can. Okay. Start. Okay. Everybody, please look at the script. What?
Could you
This
turn
the
off
screen.
your YouTube? Could you turn off your YouTube?
Don't already.
Okay.
I'm not on.
Yeah. Okay.
I will turn off Chrome just in case.
Okay. It's good. My bad.
So
Okay.
are you seeing the slides?
I'm seeing the page.
Do you see the beautiful Merlion with a blue background?
Nope.
No,
I
we're
didn't
seeing
see
the
the
Chrome.
slides.
Wait, so what are y'all seeing?
Chrome.
I see your face.
Oh,
Thanks.
sorry. Let me just get back to this. Okay.
Now
Yeah.
let
Okay. Correct.
Can you
而家有冇
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Mandy's holding 2 thumbs up. So okay, Hui Jin gonna start talking
Using this
very
as a
soon.
recording platform. Yeah.
Okay, hello everybody. Hello, welcome to the 48th edition of Talk.CSS. It's month 2 of online because COVID is just getting worse. Who knows? This might be the last time we have Talk.CSS. If so, thanks for spending time with us. If not, see you all next month probably. As you can see, I'm dragging time because I cannot find the correct page. Oh my god. Okay. Anyway, this is us. Those of you who are at home, you're at home. If you're a speaker who is not Mandy, then you are in Hackerspace Singapore. Lavender apparently got cluster, but you all still come. So you all till COVID, it's not my fault, everybody. So we are Singapore CSS. We have social media. If you feel like screenshotting your screen and putting it on the Twitters, use hashtag Talk.CSS. I say this 4 years already. Nobody does it, but never mind. Continue. So this is us, standard. Oh, this time I'm gonna elaborate on this slide because last month only got Zion, and then Zion heard this for 4 years, so I never say. But this month I will say. We got a website which is hosted on GitHub because my operating budget is 0. We have a newsletter for all the people who RSVP and never show up. Even online, your RSVP all still fly kite. I think you all win now. Anyway, moving on. Shout out to Engineers.SG. I'm gonna do this. Okay, no, actually cannot because you're also not looking. Anyway, we are Engineers.SG is the organization that has set up this ridiculous setup where there's like screen lah, then got video lah, then got microphone lah, then got YouTube, got Zoom. It's a lot of effort. I didn't do anything, so thank you Engineers.SG. CA is the logo for a fine gentleman called Lim Chi-on. He is not here. But it's okay. He has a free pass. He's with us in spirit. Basically, he's Swag King of Singapore. Go stalk him on Twitter. Don't tell him I sent you. Moving on. Friends. Because meetups have friends. CSS and JS are friends. We even share the same logo, just change color. So Singapore JS has also moved online. So if you want to participate in a slightly more professionally run meetup, please attend Singapore JS. React Knowledgeable is another more professionally run meetup that happens on Fridays. They are also online, so basically everybody's going online because COVID. Anyway, host of the month is the internet. So hi everybody who is joining us from the internet. Oh wait, must say, look, this is the, if you want to choose a globe, a world emoji, there are 3 to choose from, and we have chosen the one that is in the correct time zone, everybody. So if you all can see my cursor, Mandy is somewhere here, we are somewhere here, so this is the correct time zone. Choose the correct world emoji if you want to talk about the world. Moving on. Okay, this month CSS color of the month is Sienna. Ever since, I don't know, 2 months ago, I decided to start talking about random trivia about the CSS color. So this month's CSS color is Sienna. I just lost my cursor. So Sienna is a earth pigment containing iron oxide and manganese oxide. Those of you who either sleep during your secondary school chemistry or you never take chemistry, basically it's rust lah, Then in its natural state is yellowish brown, but when it heated, it becomes reddish brown. So clearly depending on your computer screen color range, whatever, for me I think it's more burnt, so it's like this, like burnt sienna. So it's very ancient pigment. It was used in natural form by ancient Romans. See, I clearly got investigate on Wikipedia, because clearly everything on Wikipedia is true. The name comes from an Italian city-state, Siena, which still exists in Tuscany. It was produced during the Renaissance period, but the first recorded use of Sienna with 2 N's instead of 1, which is the city-state name, the first use of sienna as a color name in English was 1760, but the first appearance as a name color was 19th of August 1985. It was when it was added to the X10 colors database. CSS colors only came in CSS3, so that's like 2001. But like when that's like random facts that have no benefit to your life whatsoever about the color of the month sienna. Okay, moving on. This is the agenda. So you all must sit through the 15-minute session that I will shove down your throat. Zoom. So this is March. It is clearly now the 3rd month of 2020. It's not a great year, but we are still alive, so that's great. So what happened? Firefox 73 has been released, and the most significant CSS related update is overscroll behavior. So it is defined in overscroll behavior module level 1, which was first published in 6 June 2019. And I got talk about this CSS 40. I don't think anybody can remember. So basically, anyway, so what this module does is it for you to control behavior when the scroll position of the scroll container reaches the edge of the scroll pod. So let's say you got a container that scrolls inside your bigger window. You scroll finish, then the browser will scroll the parent. So but apparently this is sometimes people don't want you to continue scrolling a parent. So this phenomena is called scroll chaining. So what this CSS module does is it lets you control whether you want to continue do scroll chaining or not. So if you are interested or you totally don't know what I'm talking about, you download Firefox 73 and then you also go and try. Then you can tell us. So there's a press release. So moving on, Safari technology preview. The release cycle is 2 weeks. So every month when I talk about this, right, it's going to be like 2 versions. Fun fact, Safari, even though Apple very big company, then the campus very big, the WebKit team very small. So basically everything that ships in technology preview is going to end up in stable Safari. So I think it's worth downloading for a try. I'm going to say something slightly politically incorrect, but like in Chrome Canary, right, sometimes they ship things, then they're like, oh yeah, that was for fun. There's no such thing as for fun WebKit because like they don't have enough people to do for fun things. So anyway, what is fun about the newest release is matches. So if you 1, 2, 3, the 4th point, there's this pseudo class called matches defined in level 4. It has since been renamed to is. So this is going to be fun. They're probably going to have alias this or something. So matches and is are the same thing. Whether or not browsers alias it, I don't know. But basically what you can do is you can put a list of selectors into the bracket. So for example, if you put colon is bracket like dot button dot button dot something dot whatever, then all 3 of them will hit. So it's like a list of selectors, okay. Anyway, go read the spec. It's quite if you want to know if you want to see in action, just download Safari technology preview. Moving on. In the world of specs, there's no such thing as CSS4, but there is an issue around branding, right? Branding of CSS. So it's a very long discussion thread. You can click on a link and go and see. A lot of people have put in their 2 cents. You can also put in your 2 cents, but don't be that guy who went, how works CSS4 in React? And then kena downvote by everybody. Like seriously, don't do stupid things. Basically, there was a lot of pros and cons about the term CSS4. So my personal comment was that if you really want to do how TC39 do ECMAScript, I think the difference is that when you do it for ECMAScript and you do this like ES6, ES7 thing, right? ECMAScript has the benefit of Babel. So most people are like, oh, okay, I will use the newer syntax and then I just Babel all the things. So the code that you ship is actually still ES5. CSS doesn't have the benefit of that. You can say, oh yeah, auto-prefixer. No, auto-prefixer doesn't polyfill. Auto-prefixer only prefix. I personally still like the module system because, I forced it down your throats for about 4 years. But I also recognize that normal people don't read specs. So the long and short of my comment was that I have no comment. It's just more of our opinions. If you scroll through the whole thread like I did, the one fun comment I thought was like, someone proposed using color names as versions because it was like, oh, do we do CSS 4, 5, 6, 7? Or some people say, oh, if we do year, then how? Then somebody just said, let's just use color names. So, actually quite nice, but I don't think anyone's going to go for it. But it's an interesting discussion. A lot of well-known CSS people have put in their 2 cents, which is quite interesting to read. If you got like 9 bell to do your life, you can go and read it. What else? Scroll anchoring module level 1 working draft release. So this is very new. Just came up. So apparently, okay, not apparently lah. When you load something and then you scroll and then you read content, and then because scripts load very slowly, then you have like content jump, right? So it's very annoying. They are going to expose a CSS property that lets you like anchor it. So that the functionality is that it is to minimize surprising content shifts in the browser. What the spec has is that the spec contains the algorithm of how the browser going to do this calculation. So that's pretty interesting. We also have media queries level 5. So this is tangentially related to what Mandy's going to talk about because environment media queries are inside level 5. And so for me, I also want to mention, actually at first this was mentioned as a shameless plug, but then just nice yesterday they released it as a public draft. So now it's no longer a shameless plug, it's an actual piece of news. But anyway, what's included inside there is prefers reduced data media query. Basically, my only contribution to this spec is that I wrote that paragraph. But my friend who's working at Chromium, he's going to actually implement it. So the link inside here is his I would say it's his sort of like pull request for that. So maybe you'll see in Canary soon-ish. So that's nice. CSS color module level 5 also was released, public working draft release yesterday. So color is now, they're adding color modification functions. So basically the properties that are now exposed is color mix, color contrast, and there are 2 proposals being debated on how you modify colors. So this is pretty fun for those of you who do more creative things on the web. And then like a lot of interesting things because I guess, you know, maybe COVID, then everybody start at home, then do what? Write blog posts. No, I'm just joking. There are also quite interesting code pens that yeah, anyway, got newsletter. So anyway, I will stop sharing my screen. Mandy, you share your screen, and then yes, everybody pay attention, cause you know, puff. Okay, stop share. Okay, Mandy, go.
Alright, I'm going. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
What do you see?
Full screen mode, browser, sensors, and API. Wait. So I need to move mine over, is it?
Hang on, I need to check something.
Yeah. Like that? What does the stream see?
Hang on. I have to pin a video. Oh, nope, I'm pinned. Shit.
The engineer just said shit, so that's not a good sign. Hang on.
Mandy, could you say something?
Yeah. I am saying things
Oh
that
dear.
aren't interesting.
Keep going.
Hang on. So audio is not going through.
How do you how do say something about quokkas?
Talking about quokkas. Quokkas can be found on Rottnest Island. They are limited to their Rottnest Island, just like the coast of Australia.
Oh dear.
They kind of look like rats,
Audio
but
is not
they're
going
marsupials.
through. No.
And when they're threatened, they will throw their young.
Okay, I feel really bad. Anyway, let's just make like yeah. So you know, technical difficulties, but let's talk about sensors. Why sensors, Mandy? No, like how do you decide to start playing with like
crap. Why is
sensors? Cause
audio
you know
not
most people don't.
Let me go back to the beginning. So I used to make text effects a lot.
Do you
on
wanna
Gahmen for
check
fun.
your output
And
again?
then I discovered variable fonts.
Because it might be
While making my text
fitting
effects.
to the
And while
HTML.
playing with variable fonts, I
So
realized
hang on,
that
check.
you
I'm
can control the
checking
variable
something.
fonts with a bunch of different kinds of inputs.
Come on.
And therefore, I started playing with sensors for controlling variable fonts with the different sensors and different APIs. So a lot of my demos are text related. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. So that's how I started playing with them, basically, because it was fun. Because I could control fonts and text and stuff, and it was like, woo, look at how I can change this font based on light or whatever. So that's how I got started with them.
So apparently you have not given this talk in a while. So in line with the spirit of Singapore CSS, I explicitly told Mandy not to look at her slides like another time, just like, have faith. And you don't mind if people have questions, chime in. I think in general, my audience is a reserved bunch of people. So apparently the technical difficulties have been fixed. Yes? Okay, yeah. Can start. Let's go.
Okay, we good?
Yep.
Okay, so if you do want to ask questions, you're welcome to chime in. I can't see chat or anything though, so somebody might need to tell me. Otherwise, you can ask them at the end or not ask questions. My Twitter DMs are open, so you can message me there if you want. Or you can, publicly tweet at me. Although if you do that, nice things would be preferred. All right, cool. Let's go. Not important slide, but that's my Twitter handle if you want to DM me, and a bunch of my demos on CodePen as Andy Michael. Some of the demos that I'll show today are up there and they're public. Some aren't. The ones I'll show you are up if you want to go check them out later. Not at all important, but this is my dog, Jello. I have this for two reasons. I use the word Jello a lot in my demos, and then people think I'm talking about like the food, but actually I'm talking about my dog. And all of my character names rhyme with Jello. So when you notice the theme, it's because of him. This isn't really important at all. It's just an excuse to have pictures of my dog in my talks. As we said, I haven't, this is like a off-the-cuff version of my talk, so hopefully it goes okay, but I am going to talk pretty fast because I want to get it done in 20 minutes. So we'll see how we go. If I'm talking too fast, maybe like somebody say, we'll see how we go. So what we're going to talk about is using sensor and browser APIs on the web. We're going to focus on my three favorite, speech recognition API, device orientation API, and the ambient light sensor. What I want to make clear at the beginning is I called this talk fun with browser and sensor APIs because I've not made anything particularly serious with it. They're experiments. I like to tinker and have a play. As I mentioned before, I like to do some with variable fonts, so a lot of my demos involve those. But for me, the experiments and the discovery is part of how we figure out what we want to do in the web in the future and how we want to use these technologies when they're more widely available, or if we think of something cool, different interfaces or devices that we might be able to use them in. Because they're experimental, the browser support varies. So this is my legend. If it's got a full logo, it's good, you can use it, full support for the browsers. If it's got a flag, it means you have to enable a flag. And if it's got a star, it means it's coming soon. Things have shifted a bit on a couple of them since I last gave this talk. I will mention that if it's relevant, but this is a pretty solid guide. So with that out of the way, we're going to talk first about web speech APIs. That's another picture of my dog. Amazing. So the web speech API basically just enables you to incorporate voice data into your websites or your apps. Browser support, pretty good, as you can see. The Firefox star, last time I spoke to Mozilla, they were really close at releasing this. I think they're just working on permissions. So, like giving the browser permission to use the speech recognition. It's currently split up into two separate interfaces. There's speech recognition for understanding human voice and turning it into text. And then there's speech synthesis, and that reads out text in a computer-generated voice. For today, I'm only going to talk about speech recognition. If you want to know about speech synthesis, NDN has a bunch of great resources on it. Some of the things that you use in speech recognition, you also use with speech synthesis. So we'll hit a couple of those things in the code that I'll show you in a sec. First up, let me show you how it works. I'll just bring this up. Okay, I hope this works. I've never demoed this in a live stream before, so let's see what happens. I'm just going to click and then see if it gets my words right. Can you see the page?
Yep.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So you can see that it got one of them wrong. Yeah, so it said paint at the end. I forget what I actually said, but I didn't say paint. Oh, okay, I clicked again. So every time I click, it's basically trying to determine what I'm saying and render it on the screen in text. Got some of it wrong. Render instead of render. Amazing. That's fantastic. So as you can see, it's not perfect. I particularly find that accents aren't represented very well. If you're American, fantastic. If you're Australian, it often doesn't get some of my words right. So I can't imagine what it would be like for people that have much stronger accents than I do. But it's not too bad, at least for me. And obviously, the more that we use it, the better that it gets. So that's kind of an example of how it works. In order to do that, it's actually quite straightforward. So we need a couple of things. First, we need the speech recognition constructor. So a bunch of JavaScript pretty much is what we'll use to create a new speech recognition object instance. And what that does is give us access to the API's methods and properties. There are quite a lot of them for speech recognition. I'm not going to go through every one. I'll just talk about the ones that you need in order to get started and do something simple like the example that I just showed. So along with the constructor, we need some methods, specifically start and stop, and they pretty much do what you would expect. Start starts the speech recognition service from listening to incoming audio, and usually we would trigger this with a click or some kind of user interaction, because browsers don't like listening to people without them saying it's okay, which is probably a good thing. And then stop, which stops the speech recognition service from listening to the audio. What stop also does is it attempts to return a result from the audio that's been captured. So while start just starts listening, stop has that extra step of trying to return a result. So with that, we also need a couple of event handlers. So most of them simply listen for changes in recognition status. And there are a bunch of event handlers like error logging and that kind of stuff. Two of the main ones, on result, which runs when the service returns a result. This is really special because it's executed every time the user speaks a word or several words in quick succession. Then we have speech end, and that runs when the speech recognition service has stopped being detected. And the way that speech recognition works is it will keep listening until it hears a pause for long enough. So if I stopped speaking and was silent for a few seconds, then it would stop and it would try and return a result. Obviously, you can also trigger it with like an end, but as soon as it stops hearing something, it ends. So the last thing we need, which is the most complicated thing I'm going to tell you today, speech recognition to actually get the result is a little bit convoluted. And we kind of need to go through a few steps to get there. So first, we have to access the speech recognition results list object. And that's just a collection of all the information about the result. That contains the first result object. Now, that result contains an item called speech recognition alternative object. And the speech recognition alternative object contains what we really want, which is the transcript of what it thinks we heard from the microphone. And this sounds really confusing and convoluted, and that's because it is. The reason it's like that is the API was designed to contain multiple alternative interpretations of what you said. So by default, it returns only one. But you can also get access to things like confidence ratings of what it thinks someone said. So in the example that I showed you, sometimes the words change as I speak because the more context it gets, the more it tries to figure out what I said. I have never found a situation where I needed to do something different to this. So I don't know if maybe they'll simplify the API in future, but I can't see how you would use it any other way at the moment. And all of the examples from other people I've found do it this way as well. So I guess we'll see. So this is it in like one line of code. First, we get the list object, then we get the first result, then we get the first alternative, and then we get the transcript. So that's how we get the actual text that it thinks it that I said. We can chuck all of that in a function. So I've got a test speech function, which I run on click. It pretty much uses everything that I just told you. We set up our constructor. I've also got a div that I'm finding on the page called output to chuck my text in. We start it. When we get a result, we find the transcript, and then we print that on the page. And then we've got our on speech and event handler to stop the recognition. That's pretty much it. That's how I ran the text example I showed you before. One thing to note, Firefox doesn't do the streaming, so the text coming up as you speak, that won't work in Firefox. It only works in Chrome. But I like it because it looks really cool. So as an example, if you wanted to do something fun with this, let me go back into Chrome. I'll just get rid of that. This is my dragon. His name is Marshmallow, and he is a fire-breathing dragon. And we're going to say a word, and he is going to breathe that text to life in fire. I really hope this works. Fire. Yay! Okay, cool. So, as I mentioned, I do a lot of stuff with variable fonts. So this uses a variable font called Decovar that makes it look like it's animating. So it's just a text. It's a H1. I think it's a H1 on the page. Or actually, it might be a paragraph. Anyway, not important. I say the text, render it into my text node that I have on the page, and also animate it using CSS. All of that, the only JavaScript that's used in this is the JavaScript that detects speech recognition and sends the text to the page, and then it just adds a class to trigger the animation. So you can do like a lot of really fun things to create more interactive experiences. This kind of stuff is great for storytelling or maybe marketing and advertising websites if you want to give people a way to be a part of what you're doing. You can also create stuff where maybe people can control things that are going on the page. So for example, in this case, this is all an SVG. I can say, this is Mellow, my dog. We're going to say, who's a good boy? And then we can animate the SVG, or we can say, what was it? Oh, that's right. Where's the ball? Yay! So like you can give a bunch of commands. In this case, I'm making a dog do a thing. But you can give a bunch of commands and animate things or change things or create different interactions. And like this kind of stuff might be really useful for video interfaces if you want to go play or pause or next or whatever at the screen. Different ways for users to navigate your website or your web apps. Really good for accessibility for people that maybe aren't using traditional input devices. And you can build these experiences into your websites. Another thing that I would love to see happen with speech recognition, but is actually a little bit difficult right now, is using speech recognition and variable fonts to determine the tone and the intent of people's words. So at the moment when we do speech-to-text interfaces, it's all very static, right? You say a word and it prints it out and it's exactly the same for everything that you say. But I think if we were able to combine variable fonts with speech recognition and we could combine it with web audio to detect volume or tone or pitch, then we could represent that text in more meaningful ways and create more meaningful text-to-speech interfaces. So I'd love to see that, but there's no way to do that easily with speech recognition at the moment because of the way there's no timestamps attached to the transcripts. So you can't match up like volume to a transcript. I have a loose example, but it's like so dodge. So I'm not going to show you because it doesn't really work properly. But I'd love to see that working with speech recognition in the future for like really cool, meaningful interfaces. So one thing I wanted to mention about text-to-speech, the way it works in Chrome is they have the web speech API and it goes straight to Google's speech-to-text. So you do need the internet in order for this to work. It won't work without it. With Google, they record what you're saying and they store what you're saying, which you may or may not want. You can actually buy their speech-to-text service and pay to not have it record, but for normal web users, whatever you say to Google, it's going to record and keep, and this is how they improve their speech-to-text service. For Firefox, Mozilla actually have a speech proxy in between the speech API and the speech-to-text provider. At the moment, Firefox are using Google's speech-to-text provider because it's better than DeepSpeech, which is the Mozilla speech-to-text. You can actually switch to DeepSpeech. There's a blog post I can share later that explains how to do it. But it's not as good and they don't have as much language support, obviously, because Google has many more resources. The difference with Firefox is that they actually pay Google to not send any data about you. So if you want to test it out and not be recorded, use Firefox because it basically goes through their AWS premises. There's no information about you. It gets sent to Google, then it gets returned, and it doesn't keep it or know anything. So it's a little bit more private if that's a concern that you have. There's also other speech-to-text providers, but I mean, Google and DeepSpeech are the two main ones that I'm familiar with and probably get the most input. Should also contribute to DeepSpeech to make it better so that we have more options. Yeah, so I guess to finish up and move on from web audio, sorry, not audio, speech recognition. For me, I feel like it's going to allow us to have more interactive and more accessible experiences. And I would really love to see people experimenting and working with it a bit more. It's really close to landing without a flag in Firefox. So we'll have access to it in Chrome, Edge, Firefox. So there's, quite a few browsers supporting it soon. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Wow, I'm way over time. I'm so sorry. We're going to talk about orientation. And I will speed up a little bit. Basically, to do device orientation, we need devices that have an accelerometer or a gyroscope. So while the browser support for device orientation is really good, you obviously need a device that can detect changes to orientation. It's seen a lot in mobile devices to automatically rotate the display so it's the correct way up. Really common use case. I hate that because when I'm laying in bed, it goes the wrong way and it's really annoying. So I turn it off, but that's a feature you can use. One thing I wanted to mention before I show you the code is that when I first did this presentation, it was perfect in all of the browsers. Since iOS 13, you now need to trigger an interaction for device orientation to work in iOS 13 and above. So you'll see on CodePen, some of my examples have a button that you have to click. This is because people got hold of a device orientation, did really dumb stuff, and pissed a lot of people off. So now we have to trigger it in order to use it. So thanks a lot, all those people. It was a lot of ad networks, just so you know. So another reason to hate ads on the internet. So much like speech recognition, we only need a few things. The first thing is the device orientation event, which provides information on the physical orientation of the device that we're going to be using. And then we also need the device orientation event properties. There are 4. I'm only going to talk about 3, alpha, beta, and gamma. And these each represent different number values depending on the orientation of the device. So the first one is alpha. And this represents the rotation on a flat surface. So for example, if you put your phone or whatever flat on a table and spun it around, that's alpha, and it's from a number between 0 to 360. It's kind of like a level. Beta represents tilting backwards and forwards, so it's kind of like this, and that's a range of -180 to 180. And then gamma is tilting left or right, so it's like this, and that represents a range from -90 to 90. So in order to use it, we have to check if device orientation exists, just to make sure we have access to it before we try and do anything. Otherwise, the browser will not be happy with you and have a SAD. Then we access the device orientation to an event listener and pass a function in that does some code. Really basic. You could do something like this. So in this case, I'm detecting gamma, so the tilt left and right. And then you can say, you know, if the current gamma is less than -50, do a thing. So I've actually used this code and I made this. So when I tilt my phone, I slam all the text into the side. It uses splitting JS. So once it hits -50, I just position them all over to the left. It's also tilting. So I use a constant reading from the tilt to pass it into the variable font to change how italic or the slant of the font. It's really subtle, but it does actually shift. So you can kind of create fun stuff like that, or you can do something like this, which is just like a little, you know, make the moon move. And this is an SVG. My favorite one is this one. I've made a lot of text effects with split vertical layouts. And I like this because it's quite subtle, and you could just leave it like split straight down the middle for when device orientation isn't working. But when it is, you could get like a nice little effect that some people see. I also like this one, which changes the weight and transform of each letter as you rotate. This is on CodePen and it works with any number of letters, assuming it fits on the screen. Maybe if you rotated it, it would be better. Device orientation would be good. So what I like about device orientation is that a lot of what we do on the web is quite static and predetermined. You know, we have hover states and you click to do a thing, and we've decided how that will work. But I like the idea that we can give our users the opportunity to shape their experience based on the situation that they're in that moment. It's used a lot at the moment for games, augmented reality, maps, subtle UI effects. Apple use it a lot in their native apps. If you rotate on like premium articles, you get like a shiny thing happening. So we can use it for subtle UI effects or parallax and stuff like that. But we can use what our user is experiencing to do that. And I think that's really exciting because to me, predetermined animation and experiences aren't fun. Like, I love the idea that I could be sitting next to someone and their experience of my website could be completely different to mine. I think that's really cool, and it gives us a lot more opportunity to create more engaging stories and more interesting things on the web. Kind of like how it used to be in the 90s when we had fun designs. So with that, I'm going to finish up and talk about ambient light sensor, which is actually super quick because there's only 2 things that you need for ambient light sensor. Now, just for those that don't know, very limited browser support. If you look on can I use an MDN, you will get conflicting messages, which I'll explain about in a moment. But at the moment, it only works in Chrome behind a flag. To my understanding, it will be landing in Chrome like without a flag pretty soon. But I'll explain why it's been delayed because it's actually been worked on quite a bit. So an ambient light sensor, it's just a photo detector that's used to sense the amount of ambient light that's in a room. It's in all sorts of devices, laptops, TVs, mobile phones. You'll see it most commonly used to dim screen brightness, you know, when you're in a dark room so your eyes don't get burnt out by the light. That's the most common feature. For the web, this is the second attempt at implementing the ambient light sensor. Firefox had it implemented first, But Mozilla were not happy with the design of the original API, so they redesigned it. The spec writers took the opportunity to broaden the scope and include things like Node, as well as the web browser. So the API can reach not just browsers, but other JavaScript runtimes and contexts like wearables and IoT, that kind of thing. My understanding is the Fitbit adopted the shape of the API in their SDK. So, if you understand this, you can probably use it in other contexts as well. The reason that it is delayed from release and the reason that it hasn't been more widely implemented is because of the security concerns. So researchers raised some concerns over the ability to steal user data using the ambient light sensor, which frankly I think is incredible. I don't like how people figure this stuff out is mind-blowing to me. As a result of this, the spec writers and the developers worked with the researchers to mitigate some of the known issues. The main solution that they implemented was to introduce a frequency cap. So in my initial implementations, you'd get a constant light reading from the API. It's now capped at 10 Hertz and readouts are rounded to the nearest 50 lux. So lux is the light measurement unit that's used for measuring light. This solution removes some of the accuracy, so it's harder to do bad things. I have not found this to be limiting in any of my demos. It had no significant impact, so I think it's great. Less security concerns, still works, no major problems. So this is now shipped in Chrome behind a flag. Also Edge, because, Edge is now Chromium, so we get it in two for one, I guess. In order to use it, much like speech recognition and device orientation, we need to set up the ambient light sensor object. You might have noticed that the sensors are quite similar. This is intentional design. They're trying to make sensor APIs very similar in how you use them to make it easier for us, which is great. And I'll mention something about that in a sec. So we need to set up the new ambient light sensor object. Then we need the on-reading event handler. This is not part of the ambient light sensor spec specifically. It's part of the sensor interface, which contains a bunch of properties, event handlers, and methods that a bunch of different sensors can use. So once you start, like I said, working with one, you can use a bunch of others as well. So on reading event handler, it's called when a reading is taken, and it will return the current light level when you access the properties on it. Reading frequency is decided by you. You can pass an optional value to the constructor, and that specifies the number of readings per second, keeping in mind that it also has a cap for security reasons. Finally, the only thing that exists on ambient light sensor is the illuminance property, and that returns the light level as a lux value. In order to use it, literally you could copy and paste this code into a HTML page. As long as the elements were there, it would work. Check the ambient light sensor exists in the window, create your object, check for a reading, find the illuminance value. So if it's less than 20, you could change the background to black, and if it's more than 20, it could be blue. Also has the sensor.start as well, which is common across a bunch of different sensors. Now, if you wanted to do something with this, my favorite example, this is going to be fun because I'm going to cover the camera in order to demo this. So it's going to go black, which kind of works with the whole mood. So if I cover the light, we can change the screen to animate or do something different. And I love the idea of a website where, it's dark. So maybe you want it to be like super moody or something, or it's light and you're like, cool, this is fun. It's the middle of the day. We'll be pretty chill. I desperately want to make like a story where if you're reading it in the day, it kind of has this really nice vibe. But when it's dark and you're in a room that's really dark or whatever, it starts to feel like ominous and creepy. So I think that would be a really fun experience for people. So just to be clear though, the sensor isn't in the web camera. It's actually next to it, but it's quite difficult to like cover the sensor. Oh, there we go. I got it. Without covering the camera. Most people think it's the camera, but it's not. It's actually right next to it. So how do I get there now that that thing's hovered? Let's do that. Another example, I like this example. This is my first one. Sorry, I'm going to blind you all now with light. This one changes the text based on like the variable font weight based on the amount of light in the room. This I really like for accessibility purposes. As we move between rooms, whether they're low light or really bright, you can change the weight or optical sizing or different axes in a variable font to make it more legible and more readable. I think this is really great because, again, we have these really static experiences that don't take into account our users' environments. So this gives us the opportunity to change things based on their environment. And we can also tie this into things like color contrast modes and dark mode and stuff like that. And we can make adjustments to create a more refined and legible experience. Or if you want to do something fun, this is great for storytelling. This font is called Bloom GX by Tykature. Arthur, who makes this font, makes the best, most exciting fonts on the internet. All I'm doing is using the light to make the flowers bloom because flowers need light, and that made sense to me. But this would be great for storytelling and marketing and advertising, so you can change the way it's experienced based on the amount of light. So I really love the ambient light sensor. It's my favorite. I wish it was more widely supported. There are 2 specifications, the old spec in Chrome, in Firefox. Don't use that, it won't work. It always confuses people. There are 2 links on NDN. Don't go to the one that's for Firefox. I've got a link at the end of my slides that you should go to, but literally every time I post about this, people go to the wrong link and then they get confused. So take the one that I have at the end of my slides. So to finish up, because I've gone way over, I'm so sorry. This is what happens when I ramble. Don't be limited by what we can already do. The web's really young and there's a lot of stuff that we can make. And these are experiments that get me really excited about what we can do in the future, but also like we can use them together. They don't have to be used independently. This uses the ambient light sensor and device orientation to make like a spotlight. It says Jello ate your socks. It's a message I left my husband one day. But you know, you get to experience this message only if you're in the right kind of environment. And you can create puzzles or other experiences that require these inputs to complete them. And I think that's super exciting. Another example, I don't know if this is going to work. This one is so touchy because of my accent. So we'll see. This is Smello. He's a grumpy wizard. He only casts spells if it's dark. So if I cover my sensor and I say, please cast your spell. Yeah, okay, cool. So it worked. That was lucky. Normally this one takes me like 3 goes because for some reason you can't understand what I'm saying. So you can combine them together to create a bunch of different things. One of my favorites is this unicorn one that I made. I can't show you the device orientation because that's difficult on a phone demo. So that's it working with the device orientation, right? But when you use it on a phone altogether, you can make the beam show and you can say, let's see if this will work, commence abduction. Yay! So it'll only work if the light is over the catacomb and you say commence abduction. If you get it wrong, it'll call you a fool. And you'll have to try again. So these are fun experiments that I made that I think are really cool and I think demonstrate possibilities for us in the future, whether it's for practical interface reasons like accessibility or legibility or readability, or if it's just for fun games or advertising or whatever. There are opportunities here for us to discover things and we have the chance to determine how that stuff is going to be used in the future. So that's it. Thanks everybody. Ambient light sensor link, go to this one, don't go to the other one, otherwise it won't work for you. Mozilla, MDN Docs, the best. If you have any questions, you can either ask me now or you can hit me up on Twitter. Done.
Thanks, Mandy. That was amazing. So you can just hang around, I guess. You should stop sharing your screen. Next
Yeah.
guy, share your screen.
Done. Stop
And-
sharing.
Yes, that was amazing. Amazing with a capital R. So okay, for everybody who's still in the live stream, oh my god, there's still 15 people. You all didn't go and eat dinner. Excellent, excellent. So we have Dave from GovTech. Dave will be giving inside peek in the world of COVID at GovTech. No, actually, anyway, he's the winner of the best talk title Talk.CSS has ever had in 4 years. Oh my god, my face very big. Go back. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna talk nonsense until he can click the right button to share his screen. No pressure, sir. I can see what you're doing. There's inception because okay now we can see your Google slides. Is must go where, flu go where, Gahmen go where. For the benefit of Mandy, Gahmen Gahmen is how we say government because in Singlish V can be dropped. So ver is a irrelevant syllable. So just say Gahmen. Anyway, please start talking, sir.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna be talking about Gahmen Go Where essentially, and pretty much also on Must Go Where and kind of like how it got started and all that kind of crap. Okay, so this is pretty much what. Hello.
Wait, do I keep my mic on?
Oh, how do I
No, you're
unmute
talking
this?
into your. Okay, sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Oh wait. I need to enable the audio first.
Talk. Keep talking so they can test.
Hello.
Sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Twinkle, twinkle, little
Excellent. Go
star.
on. Keep going. What? Okay, can.
It's the live stream or rather the Zoom.
The Zoom doesn't, I think.
Zoom share.
Can point the webcam.
Okay, yeah, I hear.
Alright.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, basically I'm just gonna share a bit about myself, talk about Must Go Where, some of the other Go Wheres, and essentially some of the other stuff, some learning points, and a shameless brag lah. So, I'm basically a software engineer at GovTech. I've been there for 3 years, so I've worked on like a lot of projects lah. Your HDB resale portal, moments of life, after monitoring, blah 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 blah. This is actually not very important. What's more important is this part. It's by ranking. So I love to read books. I love to play video games. So usually I play video games more than I read books lah. And of course I like to do some CSS animations, and last but not least is I love puns. So I love puns so much that normally I don't introduce to people that I'm a software engineer, but rather I'm a software developer. And the reason is because Dave and developer is a developer. Yeah, sorry, very bad pun. Yeah. So anyway, sometimes I do some things on CodePen, and because I love puns so much, right? I also did a pen, which is basically on bad puns lah. Yeah, so like, yeah, just like really bad puns. Okay, so yeah, just like some random stuff, and so this thing here is actually something that I learned from Mandy. It's also a variable font, and especially when you click, then it grows, and then you can like shrink it lah. Yeah, so it's like some of the stuff that I do on CodePen. Right, so okay, so about Must Go Where, how this whole thing came about. Basically, our government announced that they'll be giving out free masks, right, from the 1st Feb to the 4th Feb. Sorry, to the 9th Feb lah, right. And then actually, on our end, right, we heard the news on the 30th Jan morning, but actually we don't know what's going on lah, right. We're just told that, hey, we need a team to build a website. right? So then we form a team, volunteer basis, right? So we have a designer and an engineer from like some project, and then there's an engineer myself, and like 2 other engineers from other projects. So the funny thing is like, the way I see it is like, is Nick Fury calling Avengers, but no one knows who we're fighting, right? So we're all there, and we're like, oh yeah, okay. What are we doing? Then we don't know. Yeah. So our base assumption was, okay, let's just build like some kind of website, which is more of like a directory, right? You just enter whatever location, and then you get to see, basically where you can collect your mask from, right? You can go to like Ang Mo Kio Community Center. Then we thought like, oh, what would be interesting is we have things like estimated wait time, or what's the current queue time, status of mask, blah 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 blah. Right. So we thought, okay, maybe we need on the ground they need some way to update this website, and we thought like, okay, maybe we could use like Google Sheets, right, for them to do the updates. And our assumption is you can collect anywhere at any community center . So if you stay at Pasir Ris and for whatever reason you want to go all the way to Boon Lay to collect your mask, you can . Then there were discussions like, oh, what's the fastest way to get things set up . So on the front end, we're actually using React and Tailwind CSS. The Tailwind CSS is actually it's a utility class based library. It's actually really pretty fast for development, but there are some downsides to it, which I'll explain later. So our backend was just a AWS tree, CloudFront, Lambda H, and Google Sheets, right? So once you are done with your React, you just like npm run build, right? Then you just throw it on AWS, and that's pretty much it . So the domain name, right? This part is where things get a bit more comical . Our production is mustgowhere.sg.
A star for must go where? A star.
So the staging, right, was muskgowhere.com. And the reason why this happened, right, was because like when my colleague came over and was asking, hey, what domain should we buy? Then the designer said, hey, let's buy mustgowhere, right? Because it's easy for people to remember. And I was just joking with him, just saying, hey, maybe we should buy like muskgowhere.com . Then we built a website to basically track Elon's mask movement, right? So, so this guy, so he was like, he knew that it was a joke , but when he bought the domain, right, he spelled wrong . So that's how we ended up with muskgowhere.com . So if all else fails, right, we can actually just so if all else fails, right, honestly, we can just really build a website to track Elon Musk . Yeah. Right, so
I know where the taxpayer money is going.
yeah, so I think probably sometime in the afternoon, that's where we realized that actually it's not true that you can collect from any community center or like residents, I forgot was it committee or something, right? And actually you can only collect from the ones at your district. And the reason for this is because of logistics . So imagine if everyone goes to like Boon Lay to go and collect all the masks, right? Then there needs to be some logistic effort to transfer extra stock from the other CCs to that location . So because of concerns like that, that's why we're like tied to collect from the CC, a dedicated CC . Yeah. But we also still had the assumption that on the ground, they are still able to provide real-time updates. So then our design changed to something like this. So on the 31st Jan, that's where we got the data set. And the data set is actually a mapping of residential postal code to CC and something new called RN, which like we have no idea what it was. What's interesting is it's just a mapping to the name, but there was no address. And this is also where we start to learn that, oh, actually there's more collection points than just the community center. So I don't know why they make things so complicated, but in Singapore apparently we have a community center, we have residence committee, we have neighborhood committees, and then we have a residence network. So community center is, most of us know what is it, right? The other three, right, actually they are all the same thing. The only difference is one is meant for private estate, one is meant for public estate, and one is just a combination of both.
Nice.
So this is also where we realize, right, that these three RC, NC, RN, right, is actually volunteer based. You know, it's not like someone from the government that's like running this. Someone from the government that's running this.
Thank you.
Right, so this is also where I realized that actually real-time update might not be realistic because these are volunteers and typically they're elderly. So if you want them to use a Google Sheets, it's a bit hard lah. And then at the same time, it's volunteer basis, right? So the opening hours is random. The location also random. Can be at your, like some park somewhere, can be at below your void deck. Everything's random, right? And then there's also concerns like, what if there's a long queue? So if there's a long queue, will these people, like these volunteers, still bother to update? Right? And there's also public perception. If we display a long wait time, how would the public feel? Would it mean that there's a lot of people rushing to collect masks? Then it creates panic. Or like, what if it's shown that the mask stock is low, right? So things like that. That's where we realize not realistic. So that's why we also stop work. Then at 8 p.m., I went for a meeting with my senior director, assistant director, right? Yeah. So we met the various stakeholders like your PA SAF whatever. Then we kind of show them what we have, and then they told us, okay, so we need to remove like all this real-time updating, but they still want the website to display where to collect.
Nice.
We also realized that it's a decentralized operation, which means actually there isn't like a single point of contact that like handles this whole distribution. It's more like they just tell all the various districts, right? Your own time, own target, carry on. Then everyone, right, go and think of how they want to distribute. Some people send people to resident's house to distribute the mask. Some people say, oh, you all come and collect at here, at there, blah blah blah. And there's one thing that our town councils do very well. What they do very well, right, is to create posters.
Yes.
Everything is about posters, right? So this is what happens, right? So this is from various districts. Everyone creates a poster. You look at the format, right?
Everyone's different.
Everyone has a different format. Okay, so on our end, right, now we need a website to display all these locations. And in your mind, it's like, oh my god, how do we translate this into like a structured data form, right? So, wow, this one really is really xiao liao lah. Like, we have no idea how we're gonna do it, right? Our initial plan was to do a reverse mapping. Okay, so reverse mapping means okay, so based on this, like maybe one of these you're at block 572 Woodlands whatever, right? Coverage, don't know what very hard to understand. But basically based on the block number, right, we thought that maybe we can reverse map this to a residential postal code. Then we can map back to our data set. But we realized it's very ridiculous because it could be at this block, you could go to here to collect, but the street name will be different. So you need someone, right, to be damn smart in like all the district segregation in Singapore and postal codes and that kind of things, right, in order to do the mapping correctly. Yeah. So end up, as we tried, we realized it's quite impossible. And then I spoke to my boss and I was telling him, hey, like jokingly, I was just telling him, why don't we just map it to the district, then we just display all the poster, right? And that's where he said, hey, actually that's not a bad idea. Nice. Yeah, so that's why must go away in the end, right? What happened was when you enter your postal code, right, you see a whole bunch of posters lah.
Yeah.
Good sir.
Yeah.
Good job.
So so that's myself. I was working on the front end. We actually called back 2 back-end engineers because we need to like store posters now in like S3 or something. And we have our senior director, assistant director, and a team of people.
The three director do what one?
Yeah, so I'll explain. This one also quite interesting because you never, I don't know like first time I see director do like really paper kind of work
They got do what?
Yeah, God, of course. All night. They were all night there with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good endorsement.
So,
Give a bonus. Come, continue.
Okay, so we have like a deputy secretary who activated like her team of people. So it's like 11 p.m.
Wow.
Essentially, what this team of people were doing, they were going on social media, your Facebook, your WhatsApp, like maybe like their void deck or whatever. They are taking photos of all these posters and sending to our 3 directors. And what our 3 directors are doing, right, they're trying to, they're essentially doing Photoshop law. They're like stitching the photos together, you know, and then tagging it. This is for like Admiralty. This is for what. Yeah. So basically, that's what we did until about 4 a.m., 5 a.m. This is kind of like our tech stack. As you can see here, we use Google Sheets, and this is actually my Google Drive account. This is someone else's Google Drive account. Sorry lah, like, you know, during crunch time, anything goes lah. Yeah, so basically this is where the residential postal code mapping to the CC to the district is at, and then it will be constantly uploaded to S3 bucket, right? And then on the other end, this is basically the top part is where we store the photo set lah. So when the API call is made, it will query and like find out which district you're at, and then you go and retrieve the posters. Yeah. Yeah, so then we went live, right? So yeah, 4 a.m, you know, we're like, oh, finally go live, right? We went for McDonald's, went back home, I think 7 a.m, and then we got called back at 9 because apparently a lot of people were visiting the website. But there were a series of issues. Citizens thought it was a fake website because we didn't put the masthead or like our GovTech logo.
Gahmen logo.
Yeah, there's reason for that lah. I'll explain why lah. Okay. Secondly, right, they thought it was a fake website because it's a .sg domain, and it's not like a .gov.sg domain, right? And there's also cases where some districts have no posters. Some district actually on Friday night when we were scraping their social media, they were changing their photos. So then we were displaying the wrong information. There are things like wrong mapping from the poster to the district, and some postal code cannot be found. So there's a lot of issues with the data, right? So during that day, what happened was our senior director activated like 50 people to come down to office and basically do like updating the posters and adding more postal codes that are missing. So why is there no masthead or logo? It's because when we did this Mascoware website and we realized that, oh my god, we have to display a list of posters and they are pretty ugly posters. We didn't want to associate it with GovTech. Yeah, so actually that's the real reason lah. When we did it, we were like, oh my god, this is like so ugly. Yeah, but then of course after that we have to add it in lah. Why not .gov.sg domain? Because it just takes a longer time to procure lah, which we eventually we did it, and yeah. So there were actually a ton of improvements that we did to the website lah, right? We added like IE support, optimized performance, add analytics. We actually switched from stitched images because people were complaining that actually they don't understand like having all these posters stitched together. So we switched to a carousel. But carousel also has its own issues because then people say they cannot find what they want. They didn't know that you can press the buttons left and right to view different posters. Yeah, then we make those buttons more prominent. We added language translation, security, and just a whole ton of stuff. In total, that Saturday, I think we did about 40 deployments to the website alone. Right, the poster side is, yeah, that has always been going on.
That's
yeah.
Production.
Yeah, so post 9 Feb, post 9 Feb, what happened is they said that okay, so all these RCNCRN, right? No longer you can collect from there. You can only collect from CC, like your community centers, and that's where we switch from the posters back to table form. Yeah. Yeah. So that's basically pretty much the story of Mascoware. There is a few other GoWares that's going on right now. We have FluGoWare, which is to find like this PHPC is like public health preparedness clinic, something like that. Basically, it's just clinics that are prepared for these kind of outbreaks. Yeah, so you can search based on your location, what's the nearest one you can go, blah blah blah. We have a temperature GoWare, which is actually an internal product for temperature declaration. It'll roll out soon to like various other agencies. Not sure if it will go public, don't know yet. Then there's actually a whole bunch of other things that I cannot confirm that whether they are going to be released soon, so I'll just say that they're all ideas. One of it is the first one I can tell you that it's not happening already. So the first one is they had this idea where we scan our identity card, and then you're entitled to buy like 2 boxes of masks. And so there's a team that was working on that. But then eventually they scraped this off. There is a contact tracing idea. Using like your mobile app and Bluetooth, somehow they can do contact tracing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Idea. Okay. So then there's also poster generation, right? Because we realized all the ugly posters generated by town councils, so we wanted a way to like kind of help them out to standardize things.
Bro, you still have profit tomorrow you kena.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just like
Never mind,
being very
nobody
brutally
watches the
honest.
video, it's okay, you are safe.
Yeah. Okay. So then there's also this idea, right? That yeah, maybe like if there's ever in the future like another mass distribution or whatever, maybe you want to have another feature where you can state that you want to give your mask away to like the people who need it more or whatever. Yeah. So this is a sample of temperature go where actually yeah, a bit lame lah, but basically it's just you declare your temperature law. Yeah. Okay. Next. This is some of the other stuff that we did. This was the first basic concept. Yeah. And basically when you type, right, then the face will just like wow. Yeah. So then we added this to mask go wear, but of course we make it look nicer lah.
Oh, so cute.
Right. So when you type something that when you type something that it doesn't recognize or like some invalid code or whatever, right? Then you question mark, what's happening?
Confused. Yeah. Nice.
Then we also added it to Flugo Wear. Slightly different. This is basically following the first one, the same concept. Too long, then you question mark. Yeah. Okay, so learning points. Actually, a lot of things to learn lah. But I guess to me, the most important part was really about optimizing for performance and scale. There's this guy called Alex Russell, senior staff software engineer, Chrome project Fugu, whatever lah. Okay, but basically it's something to do with PWAs, and he gave this very good talk okay, at a Frontiers conference. It has to do with why we have to optimize for performance, right? And TLDR is this is more towards mobile lah. So TLDR is we are on a 4G network, but we're not really 4G because congested lah. A lot of people are on it, right? And then there's also people who have like budget phones, which doesn't have very high processing power, and this affects their experience. So maybe on an iPhone, a website could take like 10 seconds to load, but people on budget phones, right, it could take them 30 seconds to load, right? And then there's also things like wasting people's data, blah blah blah. Okay, so back to why I brought this up is because give you some statistics first. For FluGoWare, or this kind of mix of both lah. MustGoWare has over 1 million visits. Visits is like in a 30-minute session. FluGoWare, 1,002 million page views and all that kind of things lah. But basically, what I want to show here is that most people actually access it through the mobile phone. Okay, so that's the first point. Actually, it's the same for MustGoWare. A lot of people also access through mobile phone. Other is actually desktop. I don't know why the analytics consider as other. And apparently got people access through television also.
Gaming console!
I have no idea how they did
on
it.
Switch like yeah. I see like
Okay.
CS halfway. I need a mask. Anyway, sorry, please continue, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so mobile devices, there's actually a ton of mobile devices, but these are some of the considered the more lower end mobile devices that don't really have like pretty good processing power. So based on statistics, right, actually we do have some users in Singapore that are using phones that are not so good. Yeah. Okay, so this is where I have to admit, right, we actually mess things up. So back to performance, right? I guess the very common sense thing, right, is to optimize your images, right?
Like your whole side poster, wow.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. yeah, that one I a bit bo pian. Okay. But so for Flugoware, what happened was I did a lighthouse check, and actually I realized that there was one point in time that our images added up to 6.8 megabyte. And then another thing we realized is that we didn't turn on cache. So every time the person visits the website,
笑了
we're eating 6.8k, 6.8 megabytes. Yeah. So of course when I saw that, then I was like kind of fuming lah, and because I did the fix lah. But anyway, point here is, yeah, you can use tools like your Chrome Audit Lighthouse to check for these kind of things. There's also a Lighthouse CI you can actually integrate with like your build plan and like to flag things out. What's interesting is there's this thing called a feature policy. Okay, this one. Experimental feature, but basically it can help you to detect oversized images, and if it's oversized, right, over a certain threshold, you will replace it with like a placeholder, and then they will basically warn you lah. Yeah, so maybe something to look for in the future. Yeah, so I think there's like a whole bunch of stuff here lah. Yeah, you guys can check this out if you're interested. Okay, so moving on. Okay, yeah, use cache control, like what I mentioned earlier lah.
Yeah.
But you need to know what you're doing. Don't cache the wrong thing. You can also remove unused CSS. So the thing about Tailwind, right, because it's the concept is to create many utilities that you can use. But the problem with that is that the package size is pretty huge. So one way to get around it, right, is you can use something called purge CSS, which will basically remove all your unused CSS. Then there's like other stuff like you can use like Svelte, which is actually very performant. Lazy loading, you can use a Webpack analyzer to analyze your JavaScript libraries and all kind of things lah. Yeah. So okay, last slide. No, second last slide. Okay, so basically, right, I'm basically from GovTech Singapore lah. So our goal is engineering digital government, making lives better. Right. We are constantly looking for software engineers, designers, whatever lah. So yeah, if you're interested, you can come and join us. This picture here is actually a tool that we're building for ICA. Actually, it's out already lah. We actually built it for ICA. But essentially, when you upload your photo, right? Last time, I don't know if you all use the ICA system, right? They have this like very old legacy tool that you need to use to like crop the images and like adjust coloring, all that kind of things, right? Now it's all automated. You upload your photo, we detect the face, we crop around the face, we check whether your head is tilted, we check whether your head is turned, we check for blurriness, we fix the brightness. We also do, the most interesting is background replacement. So if you deal with images, I think this will be very interesting, because in the first place, how do you know what's the background, right? So if you're interested, come join us lah, then you find out. Okay, so last slide. Yeah, so basically, just if you're interested, just drop me an email lah. Official email, Dave_Quah at tech.gov.sg. Unofficial email is just quahdave@gmail.com. You want to remember very easy. So in Hokkien, right, Quah means see, right? So Quah Dave, see me lah. Okay, look for Dave. Okay.
Bro, you're the best.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody clap because this fine gentleman is the ultimate Singlish speaker. I approve. Also, it's bonus season, year end. I think GovTech give this man a bonus. Excellent, sir. You must come back again, huh? Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so you have stop sharing your screen. Okay, Mr. Butt, it's your turn. You answer say 10 minutes one, huh?
6:40.
You
doing the
Is it on the? Is it showing
No
already?
lah, I never niao you lah. OT lah, bro.
No, but is my screen being shared?
Everybody can see the butt is a valid value or not?
Should I turn on my microphone or use yours?
No, turn on.
Okay. Unmute.
Bro, excellent, sir.
Hello.
Thanks for coming.
Can everyone hear me?
谢谢上面。
Can anyone hear me?
Can. Mandy can hear.
Okay.
Australia can hear you means can liao.
Okay, cool. Okay, shall I start?
Yes, go.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Ten Zhi-Yang, front-end developer at Shopee. For my talk today, I really want everyone to know that but is a very valid CSS value. That's it, that's the whole talk. And let's go, dinner, supper, let's go. Just kidding. The title of this presentation is inspired by a tweet from Chris Quah. Unfortunately, I can't make a full presentation talking just about buts in CSS. So I'll have to make do with talking about CSS and SVG interactions, and to produce effects like the farting cat below. Apart from our usual, image manipulation tools like rotate and transform, we actually do have a list of CSS properties that and values that are unique to vector images and SVGs. You can read more about this. You can read more details in the CSS documentation. For most of my examples, I'm using that fat win thing that I drew on a tool, vector.com. We can see that lines in SVG are essentially represented by waypoints, and such as shown in the slides with the circles there. To get your hands on SVGs and play around, you can of course draw like I did on a tool online, or with some of my examples, you can actually get it from just a freesvg.org, or sometimes you can also get it from a library. There are many JS libraries that allow you to draw SVG with a canvas syntax, or you can just or there are programs like for example Figma and yeah, basically they allow you to export images as SVGs. So if we pick into the SVG content, we see that it is mostly just a series of paths, and I'd like you to take note of there's this thing that I added called path length equals to 1. This will be used later. But basically, yeah, it's just paths or sometimes some basic shapes. Being a vector-based representation, it gives us some benefits. You can have crisp and sharp images at all sizes. If we declare SVGs in our markup itself, we don't have to send another HTTP request for each image. We can easily scale not just the whole thing, but even parts of the images. And basic SVG support is already available in all browsers, even mini browsers. So if anyone out there is still using PNG and GIFs for their icons, you can just switch over to SVG just based on all these benefits themselves. It's also very, very lightweight. But we don't just have to draw the paths as lines. We can also do fun things like have some text follow a path, or we can make shapes from paths, or make shapes that follow a path, follow another path, or you can make paths follow a path that follows a path that follows a path, and so on and so forth. But some common CSS that we use in things are like stroke fill and stroke width. So these are normally used in my daily development to change color of icons. Sometimes I do an effect where I thicken the stroke width on hover to make it show as an item is highlighted. And yeah, we can also make shapes with fill. So the namesake of this presentation is actually it was so disappointing. It was just it's just a value for line cat properties. So we can see it can be round, butt, and square. So butt and square look almost the same, except square has a it has an edge that sticks a little bit out from the other lines. Another property that we can play around with are dash array and dash offset. It's a bit hard to wrap our head around, what are all these values. So just now I pointed out the path length equals to 1. It shows us we can actually use if we put it into the SVG line, we can use it to use a ratio from 0 to 1 to represent how much of that line. So there are other things we can do. So all these examples so far are very boring, right? We want to have more farting cats, or at least more things that are a bit more interesting. What we can do, we can have CSS animations to move the dash offset value. So this is actually a single line spiral that I found on FreeSVG. Without any prior knowledge, I just created this spiral effect just by having the stroke offset moving at different intervals. Alternatively, you can have like a neon sign kind of effect. All I did here was to change the color of the line and then thicken the line at certain timings. So yeah, it gives a glowing neon sign effect. We can also animate something like color fills. So right here, yeah, so we can animate color fills over here with CSS animations. You only need to actually write out which color stops you want, like keyframes as you would in most animations, and fading from color to color is automatically handled for us. So a very common use of SVG also is to create or SVG animation is to create this sketching effect. Here I added the same path length equals to 1 for every path, and adjusted the dash offset from 0 to 1 and going back and forth. So I could put in more effort to stagger the line so that it actually looks like it's being drawn, but I'm very, very lazy. So this is how I did it. I also was so lazy that I didn't want to put the path length equals to 1 value into the 10 or so lines that make up these images. So I wrote this JS loop to just set the attribute for all of them. And the nice thing is that we don't have to use this CSS rules alone. We can always use JS to help us out with our tasks. Another way is we can actually just use the markup itself. So the ball is just a div, and the line itself is a path that is independent of the ball. I just copied and pasted the path into this offset path value in the ball, and then do the animations. So there are a lot of libraries out there that use the same few concepts under the hood to achieve animations and interactions with SVGs. A general idea for these things general idea for SVGs that we can play with, usually simple line art drawings without fills. Those are very easy to manipulate and have fun. So that's all for my talks. You can access this talk on, I think, the first link, my blog. You can access the slide at slides.com. You can see my code pen for all these examples. And add me at Twitter if you find this interesting. Thanks.
Okay, everybody virtually clap for you all here can clap louder lah, got recording, bros. Thanks. Anyway, sir, stop sharing your screen. I share my screen. Someone got announcement. Did you send me? You never send me, huh?
How do I stop sharing?
Okay, what's the name of your company?
Send it. XENDIT.
Okay, wait. 会进 share screen first. Joke. This one. Can everybody see the screen? So okay, so send it.
Yeah.
S.
Like send it with an X.
XENDIT.
Yep.
XENDIT looking for senior front-end developer. If you need a job, how to contact you? Go and Google the Google website. Okay. Anyway, so like I think COVID, DORSCON's probably still going to be orange for a while. Because like everybody else in the world is doing a shit job at keeping people alive. This might just say one. Anyway, so we'll probably do this online again. So if you have announcement you all send to me, then I will try to express it in a as intelligible way as possible. Our best friend meetup, React Knowledgeable, also stream online. The purpose of this slide is to inform everybody. I know there are only 15 of you, but like if 15 of you all subscribe to the YouTube channel, when they hit 100, they all can get customized URL. Because everybody needs to know how to spell knowledgeable. Knowledgeable, very hard to spell. Until today, I still cannot spell. Knowledgeable, I must think very hard. And so yeah, every Friday 6 p.m. Even if you don't want to watch, you must still subscribe, because that's what people need. Friends, don't let friends not have customized URL on YouTube. So okay, today is very good, very nice, full house. We got a lot of interesting. Everybody actually stay on. Chia, I know you're Thomas Chia. You win the prize for best name. Good for you. So anyway, we'll probably be happening again next month if we are still alive. And okay, you all could have been doing better things with your life, but you chose to join this live stream because I managed to convince you with my star-studded lineup that this is worth an hour and a half. So thank you all for joining us, and stay safe. Wash your hands, don't touch your face. That's our new motto. Okay, thanks. Down off, everybody. Good night. Okay, thanks. Bye. Stop share. Let me.
Picture.
Thanks for dialing in from Australia, Mandy. Cause Zoom is still online, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.